Happy 2022. Can you believe it?
No.
I cannot.
Isn't that crazy?
I don't know how that happened.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Wasn't it just 2000 a minute ago?
Do you know what?
I lost 2 years.
It was.
Or 20 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I do feel like I lost 2 years.
Well, everybody did.
We all
Pandemic
did,
years.
yeah.
It seems like here we were pre-pandemic, and here we are
Pandemic.
now, still pandemic.
Still
but
pandemic.
Right.
all that
Gloria
time's
was just
gone.
taking inventory of my shoes to show me what I haven't worn in 2 years, by the way,
I know.
upstairs.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't worn any shoes in 2 years. I feel like I've worn sneakers
But
in
in
2 years.
yoga clothes.
Yeah. Sweatpants,
Yeah.
stretchy pants.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
But everybody's been more comfortable.
Well, except
Yeah.
Sloan here, who
Why?
refuses to get rid of any of these 18-inch high shoes.
Well, I am going to wear them, even if I wear them from my hubby around the house. I'm going to wear them.
And what else will you be wearing them with?
Whatever he
who
likes.
does that?
I know.
I do.
Well,
I do.
not
Hey,
me.
some people like that. We talked about it last night.
Yeah, we
didn't
know that Michael does
Yeah, he
not
does.
like your
He
tennis
does not like
shoes.
my tennis
He
shoes.
doesn't.
No, men like heels.
Fred's the opposite. Fred's like, don't you think you
Oh,
need
yeah,
a
oh, yeah.
sweater?
Yeah,
Don't you
so does
understand?
my
How
husband
Whatever
Jerry.
layer, like another turtleneck,
My
wouldn't that be
hus-
comfy?
That's my husband.
Whenever she wears anything that
Same thing.
is even mildly sexy,
At all.
Fred says, "Is that a shirt?"
It's like, that's lingerie.
My husband-
You need to put on a shirt.
My husband
Oh
will
my
say,
God.
if I have on a dress that's a half inch above my knees,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
he'll say, "You forgot your pants. Isn't that a blouse?" Really?
That's why Fred and Terry are the same person.
He must be so happy though today, your husband, because Aston Villa tied their in their soccer game,
Against Man United at
and that was great.
Yes, that's amazing.
So Michael
He's
and
so happy.
Michael and Terry were texting
Oh,
during
I think
the
that's
game.
really sweet.
I know it's very
That's
sweet.
cute.
I love that.
Because Terry was home alone, right?
Yeah,
Because you're here.
yeah. He's got 5 dogs and
And a
several
few
cats,
kitties, a
and
few
he's-
kitties.
yeah, and the cats.
So how was everybody's Christmas break?
Long.
Lovely, so lovely.
But-
grandkids, it was
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
We were-
It was
we-
exhausting.
We were in Utah together. We were in Park
were.
City. About 75% of the people in Park City had COVID.
Oh my God.
It turned out that every time we turned around, somebody else was diagnosed with COVID.
Everybody, every city.
We
It
had
was
a
like-
we had a
Yeah.
Christmas dinner, right? And after that dinner, 1, 2, 3, 4 people immediately were diagnosed with COVID.
You're so lucky that you dodged it.
Yeah, very
No
lucky.
kidding.
I mean,
kidding.
yeah, we didn't. I mean, it just felt like it was so because it was still so COVID, and it felt the same as the year
COVID
before.
and,
like,
and wet here. Wet and
Oh, you know what?
cold.
You're wet.
Yeah.
You're wet here. Was a blizzard for us
Okay,
on
but
many
it
days.
was-
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
was
God. It was crazy.
miserably cold and rainy.
Except for we live in California and we needed it so
Yeah,
badly.
no, I'm
we
not
did.
complaining except that
It was cold.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Same
I look,
in Arizona. It was just pouring
Oh,
the whole
yeah.
time.
I look at some of the ground that used to be sort of dirt, and it's green,
Well, that's
which
good.
is nice.
Yes,
Very
it is.
nice.
Yeah.
Did you just read in the newspaper today, though, that there was a volcanic eruption in the Pacific,
that.
and there's a tsunami
Tsunami.
coming?
Yes. Yes.
But Michael said it's like going to have like 6 feet waves.
Well, it still sucks for people who have houses on the
On
beach,
the that's
which is
could
why
be
I've never had a house on
especially
any water.
in those little island countries. It's
Yeah.
like there's
Yes.
Fiji
Tsunami,
and
yeah.
all those little territories
yeah.
in that area, which they do have homes
Yeah, of
or
course.
Scary.
bungalows or
I mean, it is scary.
tree houses, whatever.
It is weird though. You see, like the LA beaches are closed because of a tsunami warning.
Well,
When
there
does
are
that happen?
signs.
Yeah.
We do have signs in California, like pointing to like tsunami. Go up there if there's a tsunami, and it says it on the signs.
Yeah.
So where do you go up the hill? What are you
There's
trying to do?
there are signs in
You do
by,
you go
by
to-
o- in
you go
ocean
to
towns.
go
Yeah, no, I
to
get it.
You
highlight-
go on
Yeah, I
higher
was
land.
wondering
You
if
go
they're
on,
going to your house.
well, they're invited.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
You just have to ring the buzzer, and then I'll let you in the gate.
Perfect.
Right?
But it's a little far from the beach. That'd be a little bit of a trek.
It is.
Little bit.
Well, they could.
But you may tell you something really funny
work out.
that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Sure.
Yes.
Of course.
But I want to share this story because I really like it. So last January, I got new bands for my. Are you telling me to move closer to the mic or that I have food on my lips?
Move closer to the
Okay.
mic, or move the mic closer to you.
So anyway, I got new bands for my Fitbit.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get it on. So my son and my bands are purple. So my son put a pink one on, and then we got distracted. So I ended up for a year wearing pink and purple.
Yeah.
And the really funny part of the whole story is you both had gotten iPhone watches, whatever they're called.
Oh, yeah.
Apple
iWatches.
watches.
Apple Watches, yeah.
And one of you had a pink
Yeah,
band. And
I
one
had
of
the
you had
pink one.
purple band.
You had this one.
And it was like, it was as if I was
yeah.
trying to be like you guys
Yeah.
and wore one of each. So Sloan on the plane said, "Oh, did you get a watch like mine?" And I said, "No, I just got a new band for my Fitbit." And it's
had
exactly
the
like her
same
band.
band.
No way.
Yes.
It's like, I hate
That's
to
an amazing story.
I'm
but
not
I don't think it's
surprised. It is though.
I mean,
you know what it's like? You know what it's like? I mean, I don't
kind
mean
of spooky.
I don't mean to say it like this, but you know how girls
Forget
when they
it.
spend a lot of time
Oh,
together,
period.
yes.
Yeah, this was like having a period together. We
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
same watch
Except
band.
That happens.
Okay, but really important things have happened.
I
in
didn't say it was important. I just said I
2022.
like
I-
this story.
wait. We did.
And holiday time.
We just did talk about COVID. Can we talk about what's in the newspaper? You know this better than I do. That the government is now going to give people 8 free COVID tests, or their insurance pays for 8
per
per
COVID
person.
tests
Per person.
up to so many dollars a test. I
month,
think $12 a month.
But
per
the problem
person,
with
8
that
times.
is you really need to test almost every single day if you're out and about.
Well, if you get
Some people
because-
do.
Yeah, but you won't.
but that's twice a week. That's covered. You could still pay yourself.
Okay, twice
8
a week.
a month.
I think, yeah.
4, 6. That's true.
Yes.
I mean, I know like doctors or therapists that will test themselves every day because they have patients.
Well, but they say you could be, or I could be around someone right now and test myself tomorrow and I'm negative.
Yep.
But the next
Yeah.
day I might be
Yep.
positive.
That's
We
why I
could,
don't get
you
any
know,
of this
so-
at-home test, because it's true. If you don't do it every day.
Here's
I
the
don't get
thing,
it.
though.
That-
But here's where it makes sense. So we're doing this today, right? You've just come in like this is a potential risk, even
Yes.
though we're all vaxxed and boosted. So I'm not doing anything this week, but we're supposed to have dinner with some friends on Saturday. So I'm going to test Thursday and Friday and Saturday probably, or at least Saturday.
Maybe I should do that.
To know so that's like a safety.
you're not
So I'm
putting
safe
them
for
around,
them. So I'm
yeah.
not putting them at risk.
Yes.
So that's where home tests can work. But it wouldn't make sense if I
get
went
it.
out Friday
Yeah.
with a bunch
Unless
of
you're
other people.
eating-
Then
no.
it doesn't make any sense.
If
So
you're having dinner outside, though.
yeah,
right.
Well, yeah.
Right, we're going to go have
Hopefully-
dinner outside tonight too, but maybe I should test before that.
I mean, we all probably should have tested this morning, so
Yeah,
we
we
didn't
probably
get each
should've.
other sick
I did.
for any reason.
You did?
Oh, you did?
Did
Well,
you?
then.
No.
No, I didn't think so.
But
I
I
have to-
haven't been anywhere.
I haven't either. I mean, we
mean,
don't
I
have to
haven't.
Okay,
I
can I-
haven't, but
Anyway.
I have seen people that may have been.
No, and
Right.
that's true. I was on a plane the other day.
Right.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Do you have
We're
New
setting
Year's
up.
resolutions?
Yeah.
I do, but
No.
I'm going to save mine for my
Okay.
raggery. And then do you want me to ask
You
you?
have
How come
Yours
your,
is a
your,
raggery?
your resolution's a raggery?
No, but it led into my making it a New Year's resolution.
That's funny.
But do you want me to ask
Yeah.
you another question?
Yeah,
And then
please
we can
do.
get serious?
Okay. Yeah, I think we have.
Then
to.
we have to get serious.
we have to.
I've obviously missed you guys so much that I'm just kind of rabbiting on and really having nothing to do with. There's no rhyme or reason to anything I'm talking
We
about.
figured that out.
Yeah.
Figured that out.
Yeah,
It's not unusual.
but here's a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, if you were in a restaurant and went into the bathroom to wash your hands, and you lathered up with soap,
Yes.
and then realized
Yes.
the water wasn't working,
Oh God.
What do you
That's
do?
me. That's me you're talking about.
what would you do? Well,
you
no,
do that?
I'll ask Sloan
I would-
first.
what would I
you
do?
do? Oh. Okay, let's ask Sloan.
I did not.
No. Let's ask Sloan
Okay.
first. What would you do?
I would just get some, if there was no Scott towels or paper
You're
towels.
lathered up with
What
soap.
would you do?
Your hands
I
are all
would-
soapy.
I
Your
would
hands are
just-
full of soap. What do you do?
I would wipe the soap off.
Yeah.
But how do you get it off? It's in your hands all
I
over
know,
your
but
hands.
you can get it off with paper towels, or if you have to use toilet paper.
This was
No,
months ago.
toilet water. This is
No, I
but-
would not use toilet water.
No, but it's not. But you flush the toilet. I just put my hands in the water
Okay,
so I
but
could get the soap
I would
off.
not. You may.
I know.
Risa.
What? It's dirty.
Oh my God.
I get it. But by the way, after I
Honestly-
did that, I did go to the table and use hand sanitizer.
Well, that's good. Just
But-
put your
but you
hands
don't-
in the toilet.
But do you want to tell everybody what the logic was?
What was it? I can't remember.
Do you
Yeah, I
remember,
remember.
Amy?
What
yeah,
was it?
you said, yeah, but that water's clean. Dogs drink out of it.
So they do. Dogs drink out of toilet bowls, don't they?
Okay, all right.
Do they? Sometimes.
Oh, this is toilet humor, and Sloan has low tolerance.
Oh, yeah.
Very,
Toilet
very
humor.
low bar.
Yeah.
of
Okay, you know what?
tolerance
Let's
for-
talk about some of the things in the news that will lead us to our
Let's change the subject.
that will
shall
lead
we?
us
Get
to,
off.
that will lead us to our guest.
Should we stop talking
Okay.
about toilets?
Okay. Okay.
Didn't you do a commercial once where you were dragging
did.
a
She
toilet?
did.
Where you were dragging a
Google.
toilet
I
behind you?
Google. What's that? What was the product?
Oh, I forget.
It was a diarrhea commercial.
And she's dragging a toilet.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
It was real.
Sorry.
Commercial.
Sorry.
true.
We're upsetting Sloan.
I enjoyed that job very
We're
much.
upsetting Sloan. Stop.
No, I mean, any business is business.
You know, it's one of my
Business.
girlfriends that pays for the lattes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's okay. So there's a couple of things that might lead us to our guest, but one of them is a fascinating story about reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
Reinvention of yourself. Starting out, being successful, becoming unsuccessful, and then reinventing yourself. Right?
It's
But
resilience.
it's resilience. And not only that, in this 2021, the 2 years of pandemic, people have realized that we're stuck in either careers they didn't love, marriages they weren't happy in, cities they weren't thriving in. I don't have to work here. Or I don't have to live here. Or I don't have to.
I don't have to go in the office.
I don't have. I can have a dog and work out of my house and cook dinner for my family. You can make your life what you want it to be. I think has been one of the few good things of the last
Absolutely. That's a
22
definite,
months. is
definite
that-
silver lining there.
Yeah,
Sure. It gave everybody time to think about what they
Time
want
that never
in their
had
life.
time.
Right. Right.
that we're all
You're
just
forced to.
in the American rat race of
Yeah.
always running.
Well,
It
one-
was a forced time.
But one of the things that happened too is a lot of people realized, I don't really need to go to work.
And a lot of places are suffering because they
Yes.
can't get
Yes.
they can't
With the
hire
staff.
employees.
Yes.
And it's called the Great Resignation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a new thing in the last
Like I think
3
about
to 6 months.
I,
Yeah.
I literally think about if I didn't do what I do, there's like 20 jobs I could have right now.
yeah.
There are. And by the way, that pay health insurance, that pay real money, that
Less
give
stress.
you real benefits.
I wouldn't care. If I didn't keep myself busy doing something, I'd have to work at 7-Eleven.
I would
don't care.
Oh, by the way, I would work at Starbucks.
Me too.
I
Easily.
think Starbucks is a great company.
too.
It
I
is
really
a great
do.
company.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. There are people that are not going to work, but there are jobs.
Lots of jobs. Lots
More
of us
jobs
can't
than there are
find people.
employees. Yeah.
Lots of jobs.
We had issues when we were in Park City also because, I mean, not okay. This is a high class problem, but there were a lot of not at this time of year. There weren't a lot of ski runs open because they didn't have enough people to groom the trails.
Well, how many flights were canceled during
So
Christmas?
So
many.
many.
I mean, thousands a
Because
day.
pilots,
People,
yeah.
pilots, and baggage handlers. Were
But a
either
lot of
had
that was COVID related.
COVID,
so.
but some just also called in sick because they could. They
Yeah.
didn't want to go to work the day after Christmas
would-
or Christmas Eve or Christmas Day that are used to
It's kind of like
busy travel days.
bigger than the Great Resignation. It's almost like the Great Reckoning. You know,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I do think that if people are fed up with, you know, the little money they're making or no benefits, there is some. I mean, there's
Or
a lot of
mean
validity to
bosses
that in a
or-
way.
yeah.
You know, I do think that we've lived for however many decades where, you know, who profited? Like massive corporations profited so much because
Amazon,
of the
for
pandemic.
sure.
Yes.
Oh my
and
God.
you have the people working for minimum wage, working 2, 3, 4 jobs to try to just, you know, make ends
Yeah.
meet.
Right.
That's
No,
that's
is
pretty
the Great
crazy.
Reckoning.
So
But
yeah.
as we recall, when we had Craig Sesser on of
Yeah.
Craig's,
Right.
he couldn't find dishwashers
Pasta
at
makers.
$28 an hour.
Pasta maker.
Yeah.
Right. So there's got to be
But
that time where,
dishwashers-
you know, where people are
We're-
getting
he
money.
said, I'll go.
Yeah.
We'll watch
sure.
dishes.
But you know what though, and we should introduce our guest because
Yes.
I was reading about it this morning about how nursing homes staff shortages are worsening problems
Yes.
and
Well,
overwhelming
he's somebody.
hospitals.
I
Yeah.
will introduce
Yes,
our
go
guest.
ahead.
you should.
I think you should.
Do you know him?
Okay, I do.
Do you have a particular connection?
I
Yeah, he's a man that likes high heels.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right.
Well, our guest is an amazing businessman, philanthropist, husband, father, grandfather, brother. He's been through a lot in his life. He has reinvented himself along the way several times, and he has many natural talents and gifts. Without further ado, here's Don Kivowitz.
Okay, Don, we know you have a really amazing life story, so we can't go through all of it, but we do have to start at the beginning. You're a young guy that was raised in New Jersey. Why would you go to college in Fairfield, Ohio?
Iowa.
I know, wrong thing.
Close. It's
Oh,
okay.
it's written wrong on here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Why would you go to school in Iowa? Why?
Well, I didn't get any off at Harvard, and I wanted to play basketball.
Oh.
And when I was interviewed by the people over there, they said they came to our school, and they said I asked them if I have a chance because it was a small NAIA school. I have a chance to walk on and try and make the team, which I did as a freshman, but I never made any impact there. But I liked it. It was a small town of 4,000 people. My high school had 3,500 in New Jersey, so it was a real culture shock. And, it's the kind of town where you'd meet everybody, know everybody, and I had 1 million jobs there. I really had a good time.
I'm sure. I bet that's true. Small towns are wonderful, I have to say. And it's good for a young man, especially coming from New Jersey, to go someplace like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Have that totally different experience.
And then you became pretty successful at a young age. Well, tell us, what did you do early on? Because I know that there was a point when you wanted to be in the entertainment business, but what happened early on?
Like right out of school. What was your major? What did you do?
Business. I wanted to, I think that I always had in the back of my mind that my fallback would be selling something. I always had sales jobs from the time I was 14 years old, and then I had businesses when I was in high school, but I always knew I could sell something. But when you're out in California, where when I got out of college, I ended up going to Los Angeles via San Francisco because I was lucky that I got into a reserve Army Reserve unit there and was able to do my 6 years in the service without having to go to Vietnam.
Thank God.
When you're in and around Los Angeles, you get the bug. In fact, the first week that I got to LA, I went to Barrington Park. I don't know if you know where Barrington Park is, in Brentwood, to just to play basketball. And game was over, and I looked over to the left, and there's a baseball field, and some guy was motioning me to come on over, that they needed one more guy to play. And I didn't know what it was, but I figured, what the hell? I went out to the game and got in. They said, you get up first, and I hit a double, and I'm on second base. And I look over to the second baseman. I said, you look familiar. And he says, well, hi, I'm Bobby Darin. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. I said, and then I looked at first base, and first base was James Garner, and third base was Bill Cosby. It was the Entertainers Softball League. And the team that I was on was the Daisy. Does anybody remember the Daisy? It was a disco restaurant bar in Beverly Hills.
No,
and James Caan was on our team.
No.
And so I played a whole season there, and you just get the bug. So
Yeah, of course.
I was.
What
my
about Tom
Army,
Selleck, honey? I thought or was that a different thing?
No, I played basketball at the Beverly Hills Y with actually Tom Selleck and James Caan and a few other athletes. They were really good. Those two guys were good athletes. And, I got the bug, and my first job was ridiculous. I had to wait 6 months to go into my active duty. And that was in Fort Polk, Louisiana, which was another story. But during that active duty time, I got a job with Del Monte Foods selling soda pop. They had a new division that I had to go to grocery stores and build displays of Del Monte soda pop, and it was such a stupid easy job. I was done at noon every day, and I had a friend that played with the Dodgers. I went to my college, and I'd meet him at the beach at 1 o'clock, and we'd have fun. This guy was the best looking guy you ever saw in your life. I mean, he was a Greek god, so women would just gravitate to him. But he was very stupid, so I could pick off the ones that
wanted to have a conversation.
Yeah, and so it was the most fun 6 months. And we had a one product. It was a diet strawberry soda, and women were crazy for it. And whenever I'd see a girl, instead of bringing flowers or something on a date, I'd bring her a case of diet strawberry soda.
Oh my God.
That was like cocaine.
By the way,
play.
a friend of mine once said to me, "Please don't send me flowers. They die. I don't like them. Send me food." So you're right. Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I had a lot of fun in that job. It was a nothing job, but paid my way for the 6 months until I went into the service, which I spent 6 months in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and in Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and then I came back to L.A. and I had to find a job. And I went and interviewed with a bunch of different companies. And
Entertainment companies, right?
Huh?
Entertainment companies?
No, just any. I mean, I had to find some kind of job.
Yeah.
So I picked up a paper and I would just cross off a company that said they were looking for a sales trainee or a sales with management potential. And every interview I went on, whether it was a financial company like Merrill Lynch, or they all wanted you to have a couple of years of experience, be married, and have a couple of kids. Well, that was just ridiculous. I mean, so there was one guy that kept, he had a really good ad in the paper, and he would sound like a nice guy on the phone, but he kept blowing me off saying, you just don't have any experience. And I said, well, how do you get experience if you've never had a job before on this level? And every time I call him back, he'd say, look, you're just not ready for this position. So I decided to just go to his office, and I sat in his lobby of his office, and I told the secretary that I know this gentleman, it was Sheldon Widman. I know he's going to want to see me. And you could see her whispering on the phone, there's some guy here, he must be crazy. And finally, this guy comes out, and I swear to God, he's about 5'7", little Jewish guy like me, he looked like me, he dressed like me, and he starts smiling at me when he comes in. I go, you can do this job. Why couldn't I do it? So he takes me back to his office and he says, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know. What do you do? And he explained to me what his job was. He was in charge of recruiting for the 11 Western states for this company called National Chem Search. And he had been there for a long time. And I said, okay, I want your job. And he said, well, you'll have to go do this and this. And okay, I'll do it. So what happened through a bunch of different circumstances, 6 months later, he gets promoted, and they take me out of the field and give me his job.
There you go.
You know what?
Claiming what you want.
I have to say, young people that are listening to this, and I hope they do, you can't sit back and expect that somebody's going to hand you a job.
Right.
You have to do what he did.
Yes, right.
That reminds me of you getting your job.
That's how I got my
being
job.
like, no, you need to tell me, and you need to tell me now, and I want this job.
Persistent, and if you not
Absolutely.
take no
You
for an
can't
answer.
say, if you call somebody and they go, I need to see, can I have an appointment? No. Well, you just call every day until you get one because you wear people down.
Right.
That's smart.
And
you
wearing people down.
You go. You just don't send your resume from your couch, and if they don't answer,
then you
give
go,
up.
oh, they don't want me.
Yeah.
Okay, Don, you became very successful. In what career did you become very, very successful?
Well, I think in that public company that I worked for, I was their youngest vice president. I did, I think, extremely well. They moved me to Dallas, where their headquarters were, and I ended up running 3 of their operating divisions, but I never really was enamored with the business itself. And I would say I was comfortably poor. In other words, you made a nice living. I think this was back in the 70s. At the very end, I was making 6-figure income with a car, expenses, a couple of vacations a year. But basically, if you have a couple of kids and you want a home and you want to have any kind of life, you're not really saving any money. You're just kind of going from one year to the next, and you'd wait for your bonus to come to pay off your credit cards. and it was really eating at me. And you know, there was a time when they made this big to-do about me being the youngest vice president, promoting me, and they gave me a bonus that I was very disappointed with. And my wife at the time came up to the meeting, and this show they put on, and I whispered in her ear, I said, get ready to pick up and move, because this is not working out. I don't see this as, they kept saying your family, your family. Well, you're not family unless you're really family.
Right.
You know, it's it was a public company, but it was owned by predominantly 3 brothers who had lots of sons, and I just saw that there was no future in it. So I started looking around, and I interviewed with lots of companies all over the country. I went up to Canada, interviewed with a lot of small private companies, some public companies. I was offered a bunch of different jobs, but it came like a thunderbolt that the only way you're really going to get independently wealthy was to have your own business.
Sure.
And so you
I had I had a friend that I had met in the service. You know, I always complained about the service, but 2 of the biggest impacts on my life were 2 guys that I met in the service. One fellow was a lawyer and a CPA, and he worked for a big law firm in Dallas, and he was always complaining about he worked like a dog, and all the senior partners were making all the money, and he and I ought to get in the real estate business together. And I finally agreed with him, and we started a company in January of 1980. And, it took 6 months, and all of a sudden I was chugging away at I got a lot of big deals done, and we were making money that more than I had dreamed of. And we were building a portfolio of lots of beautiful properties. I was very good at raising money and managing the company, and he was good at the inside, the legal and accounting stuff. And the company built tremendous momentum. We had 3,000 apartment units. We had shopping centers, office buildings, lots of land. And I guess it was September of 1986, when Reagan was president, all of a sudden they changed the tax laws. They eliminated a lot of the deductions that you got for owning real estate. And the company was immediately devalued by 50%.
Wow.
So at the beginning of September, I thought I was worth $60 million.
And
at the end of September, I was upside down $60 million.
Oh.
Wow.
And I spent 1987 and 1988 fighting with the government, trying to hold on to properties, which eventually got taken over by all these banks and savings and loans that I was doing business with were taken over by the government. And instead of dealing with the president of a bank, you were dealing with a 30-year-old kid who worked for this RTC, the Resolution Trust Corporation. It was a government entity that absorbed all these banks. And, you were fighting over crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. And everything I had was, depleted. And really, I was very, very worried about, being able to support my family. So
wait, so when you left that first job with when you whispered to your wife's ear, was she supportive of you there? Like, did she understand that and was ready to go with you no 100%. Matter what you said?
She never ever doubted me. She said, "You'll work it out. You'll figure it out." And actually, when in 87, 88, while I was losing all these properties, people were leaving the company in droves. The old thing about abandoning the ship. I said to her, she was a teacher. She hadn't taught in a long time, but she was a teacher by training. And I said, "Hey, I've got an apartment house where my manager just left, and it's a 50% occupancy. And, would you sit there for a while and just cover it?" And she says, "Oh yeah, I can do that." And within 3 months, she had the place filled up. I mean, she was just a really likable person that everybody that walked in for, to look at an apartment, by the time they were done, she signed them up and she sustained that asset. So she was always very supportive.
So you were successful and then you went broke.
Went broke. I mean, upside down broke.
And then what happened? How did you become successful?
I got a call from another friend that I met in the Army. I really only had a couple of friends, but this fellow, his name is Jim Martin, and I've known him now for 50 years. He actually came, Stacy threw a beautiful birthday party for me in Mexico in May, and he was one of the guests down in Mexico, and we've been friends forever. And he called me and he said, you know, he was a lawyer in the healthcare business. He said, I've got a client who just built a brand new, nursing home in a little town up near the Texas-Oklahoma border. And if you think you can run it, I can get it for you. And I said, well, I don't know the first thing about nursing homes. In fact, my recollection of nursing homes was back when my grandparents were in nursing homes in Brooklyn, New York, and there were 7-story buildings, and they were like being in a prison almost. They were just disgusting. And they were not private rooms. I mean, just the whole idea turned me off. He says, just go up there and take a look at it. So I drove up there, and there was this nice new building in a tiny little town. And I figured, what do I got to lose? And so we put together a team, and within about 8 months, we had it full, and I was making $30,000 a month. And I go, oh shit, this thing could be real.
Yeah.
And you were helping people, and there was a crusty old guy who built the building, and he was kind of a legend in Texas. He had built over 200 nursing home buildings over the course of 30 years. His name was R.W. McDonald. And if you can picture the guy that who played the grandfather in Beverly Hillbillies, what was his name?
Yeah, Hal Holbrook? Like not Hal Holbrook. No, it was God, I can picture his face. Yeah. And his name was Jed Clampett on the show. But
if you can picture Jed Clampett in bib overalls and a straw hat.
Yeah.
And he had some of his teeth, and he was a very, very interesting guy who, he called me up and he said, Don, I want you to come to Abilene and talk to me. I got an idea. So I drove out to Abilene. It's about a 2-hour drive. And he sits me down. He says, I want you to come out for lunch. And he had a bucket of chicken. That was the lunch. He lived in a gorgeous home on a big farm. And he and his wife said, we're going to build 2 more nursing homes, and we'd like you to lease them from us like you did the first one. And I said, man, that'd be great, with one caveat. He goes, what's that? I said, well, if I keep leasing these homes from you, in essence, I'm always working for you because you own the buildings, and I can never really achieve wealth. I can make a great living. He said, well, would you have in mind? I said, well, how about an option to buy those buildings in 5 years, and you can name the price. And he was such an honest guy. He says, okay. And he picked a price that was very, very reasonable. Everything was done on a handshake. Eventually we papered the deals, but then he says at the end, he says, you're a Jew, aren't you? I go, yeah, I am. He says, well, you're a good Jew. I said, well, thank you. I think I am. He said, well, I used to work for a Jew, and he was a good guy too, and I like you, and so we're going to do business. Aww. And he built, over the course of the next 10 years, he built 14 buildings for me, and I had the opportunity
And you bought them all?
I leased them, and then each 5-year period, as 5 years came up, I was able to purchase them.
Wow.
And that was the real foundation of my wealth.
Can I ask you? Did you learn about this when you were in college, business school, or did all of this come instinctually?
Well, actually in college, there was a head of the business department at my school. His name was Dr. Baird. And his nickname was B for Baird. And I used to mow his lawns, and I always got a B. I don't know how many classes I ever went to, but I didn't learn anything.
You are a self-taught businessman.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't learn a whole lot.
But it took for you courage and determination, right?
Well, I have a thing when I teach my young executives. I always said you had to have 3 things. You had to have a decent brain. You had to have a decent mind. You didn't have to be a genius, but you had a decent mind.
Yeah.
You have to have a really good work ethic.
Yeah.
And you have to have a great attitude. And if you don't have a great attitude, you can bring everybody around you down, and chances are you're not going to be successful. Mm-hmm. And the 4th thing is you got to be resilient, because I don't care what area of life you're in, everybody gets the stuffing knocked out of them, whether it's through an illness or a parent or, no fault of your own, things don't happen right. And you've got a couple of choices. You can dig yourself in a hole and cry, or you can bounce back and fight back and try and make it happen. And so that's one of my mantras that I used to preach when, we built a pretty big company. We had over 4,000 employees, and we had 35 facilities throughout Texas, and we owned every building. And then in 2016, a hedge fund on Park Avenue came to us and said, through a broker, we'd like to buy your company.
Wow.
And was it for sale,
negotiated.
or did it just happen that they came to you?
No, I'll tell you, a broker, a young guy who was chasing me for a couple of years, a really good kid out of Chicago, kept hounding me. And I said, well, when the day comes and I'm thinking of selling, I promise you I'll give you a chance.
Did you call him?
And I was turning 70, and I called him up and I said, we're doing very well. I would consider selling, but only on the nuance that you bring me 5 qualified buyers, and I can vet those buyers to see if they're for real or not, because there's a lot of bullshit people throw offers at you and can't deliver. And so he did that. And the first one that I picked, offered me a tremendous amount of money, but then started chipping away and trying to change the deal. And I just killed it and walked away. And I think they were very surprised that I did that. So the next one that came was this hedge fund on Park Avenue. It's called Blue Mountain. They're a $22 billion hedge fund. They asked me what the price I was talking about. They agreed to the price, and they stuck to it. It took them 4 or 5 months to close the deal, but I had a penalty clause in my contract that for every month that they took beyond the first month, they had to put $5 million non-refundable money down.
Whoa.
So by the time they closed the sale, they would have had to give me $25 million if they walked away, and nobody's going to do that. So I felt pretty comfortable.
Okay.
And Stacy will tell you that all this was going on. Half this time, we were in Europe. I was getting calls at midnight, 1 o'clock, all these in the morning, negotiating this stuff. But it ended up happening, and that was life changing. Right. That was a life changing event.
Sure, I've negotiated many deals on the road, but elder care is a big thing in our country, and some people wonder, especially now after at the beginning of the year, do they invest in, what's your opinion, in long-term health care, like those kinds of things?
Long-term insurance?
Yes.
Long-term care insurance?
Yes.
I think it's a good thing. I think that there are several quality companies out there, and most of them have built-in escalation clauses where as the cost of living goes up, your insurance coverage goes up. And believe me, it's very expensive.
Elder care is expensive, right? Those places.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you had to put your mother into an assisted living facility, a good one, it's going to cost you $5,000 or $6,000 a month.
Right.
A great one would be $9,000 or $10,000 a month.
Right.
Depending upon the state, whether you have Medicaid or Medicare. It's just a lot of money.
Very expensive.
We talked about this the other day too, and I'm just going to interject something that's funny because my mom lives. Well, you have those facilities in Maryland. My mom lives in Maryland. She lives at Leisure World in Maryland, which I kind of like the name of it. But it's like it's a community where you have to be 55 to live there. So it's not. They might have an assisted living building, but most of it is single homes. But we talked about it when I went to visit over Thanksgiving, and I would go for a walk because I needed exercise and I didn't want to go inside. And I went past this one single home house, and outside was this stand, and it was called Dad's parentheses very bad jokes. So every day there was 3 new jokes on this board.
Every day they would change out the jokes.
Every day, and I'd send them to Amy, and I don't even have all of them. But I did tell you all one the other day, so I want to tell it to our listeners. Like, and I asked you, did you hear about the new restaurant on the moon?
No, tell us.
Great food, no atmosphere. Like every day there was more jokes. But anyway, so like you have facilities in Maryland also, don't you? But you built those after you had sold all of these?
No, actually, No, I had all this war chest after I sold the business, and I made a decision that I no longer want to be in the operations end. I just wanted to be a landlord, and there was an opportunity to purchase 11 buildings, 10 in Maryland and one in Pennsylvania, and it was not a bargain, but they were well located and they did very well, and they were nice buildings, and we've been in them since December of 2016. And knock on wood, we've done extraordinarily well with them. Paid back, it was a $200 million deal, and we paid ourselves back, and we're getting a great return, and it's a great, one thing that I learned is one state is not the same as the next state. Maryland happens to be a great state to operate in. They take care of their people, and they demand that the employees are paid a much higher rate than we paid in Texas. And the buildings are, they hold people to a high standard. So Maryland is a great state.
That's interesting.
We ended up selling the building in Pennsylvania, and somebody offered us, there was one small building that was only 60 beds that is not really in our wheelhouse. So we sold that one. But the other buildings are all 200 bed, rather large, complicated buildings, but I don't have to run them. All I have to do is own them.
That's perfect.
And subsequently, we bought 2 homes in Nevada, 2 in New Mexico, 2 more in Texas, and we're just now getting into the behavioral building. All these people that are roaming around Los Angeles that are homeless, they go through a revolving door. They get picked up, they're sent to the hospital with all kinds of behavioral problems. Hospitals don't want them. They're covered by government entitlements. They go into a behavioral building. Generally, they stay there for approximately 20 days, and then they're back out on the street again. But that cycle keeps going on and on. It's nobody has come to a logical way to handle this problem, because more and more people, and it may be the aging of the population, it may be all the veterans from the Vietnam War. It could be drugs. It could be who knows what it is, but it's going to be a problem going forward that somebody's got to come up with some answers.
We all need.
Yeah.
We do need
Yes.
some help. We need
gosh.
facilities. We need mental health facilities. We need places people can walk in. We need places people can stay. You know what? We probably are running short on
But
time.
I'd like to add one thing to my husband's portfolio of life and business is that with the aging of the population, and as he's talking about drugs and pharmaceuticals and people in pain, he's very involved now in the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
And the stores that he's involved in, some that we visited in Nevada, are selling to a much older crowd. It is not young kids in these stores. It is people in pain. Honey, do you want to comment on this at all?
My hair person said to me the other day that I should buy some CBD oil with THC in
I
it
use
to
all
try
that.
to get.
Absolutely.
But I've never tried it. But people use that for health.
Honey, do you want to
absolutely.
comment on this?
No, it's
you're
a
very
big part.
involved in this.
Yeah, I have to tell you, when I went up to Nevada, and I sat in the lobby of the first store that I'd seen. The company is called GTI, Green Thumb Industries, and it's on the Canadian exchange now, and it's one of the most successful companies in the cannabis business. And they look like upscale Starbucks, and I don't know what I expected, but within the hour that I stayed, almost 100 people came through the door. Most of them were, I would say, 55 to 80 years old.
Wow.
They came in Winnebagos and
Nice.
some are ex-military, because I talked to some of them, and basically they got back problems, they got neck problems, they can't sleep, they have all kinds of issues.
They have glaucoma,
Digestion problems.
They're not there to smoke dope. It's very different than what people think of it.
Yeah. But because we're running short on time, and because you've had such an interesting life, but we all should say that Don Kivowitz is one of our favorite people ever, just so you know. All of
yes,
us.
he
Definitely,
is.
huh?
Yeah, we don't want to blow your head out of
He
proportion.
may not be
but
one of Sloan's, but he's definitely
he is one of
He
Sloan's.
is my favorite
But
person.
let's keep Don on when we do our, because we end our show with
Kudos and raggeries.
and raggeries.
Oh, he has plenty of raggeries.
So we have to, because we have some people that have to get to the airport, one person. So we should talk about, does anybody have any raggeries? Well,
I do.
okay, what do you
But
have?
do we want to do mine or we don't want to do Don's?
Well, let's see.
There you
Well,
go.
so he
Go on.
understands what it is. Tell us yours.
Well, mine is we're in the beginning of 2022. And what I get on my phone every day is we all get lots of things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of political stuff with the post January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of animals that are being need homes or have been hurt, or I don't want to bring everyone down, but what I have noticed in the news in the first 20 days of this month is that I feel very sick about the state of our nation, that it is such a sociopathic, narcissistic, self-centered. People are wrapped up in themselves. They don't care about people that were injured in January 6th a year ago. They don't even, half the country sees that it was a good rally, and instead of that people died or were hurt, that animals are being thrown out like trash and people don't want them now that it's almost a post-pandemic, or things that it makes me sick about this country.
But it's not everybody. It isn't. It's
didn't
not the
say
country.
the whole-
No, I know. But you're
it's
saying it
a-
makes me sick about the country.
A lot of this nation, it is wrapped up in themselves.
Got it. Anybody else have a raggery?
No, that's true though. That's true.
I do
I
have
have
a
a rag-
raggery that kind of comes off of that. That's also a kudos. All the dogs that are being stolen at gunpoint in Los Angeles. It's like
What?
this epidemic.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh
it
my
is?
gosh, it is
Why?
awful.
Why?
Because they can sell them for 20
Like-
grand
like
or
sell
10
'em on
grand or
Craigslist.
5 grand or
Frenchie-
whatever.
But Frenchies, for
French
example.
bulldogs,
Oh.
you know.
Oh.
So wrapping it into a kudos is this dog that was stolen a week ago or 10 days
Right
ago
here.
or something.
Yeah.
Yes, was just reunited this
Oh, I
morning.
didn't hear.
Oh, I saw that. I did see that.
They found the dog in like Pennsylvania.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Anyway,
Getting ahead.
Kudos
reunited.
to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else has a
Don probably has
raggery?
one.
I have. Am I allowed to give a raggery?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead. Give it.
Okay, so you may scratch this because it may not be politically correct, and
However,
We
Risa
don't
made it
care.
clear
Don't have to
I
be.
have to be politically correct.
No,
You
no,
don't.
no.
There was an article last week in the LA Times. Two other writers wrote about this smash and grab, and they started out the article by saying, these people use the money that they get from the products they steal and they sell them on eBay. They use it to pay their rent and to pay their car payment.
Yeah.
And they were like trying to engender some sort of sympathy for these thugs that are going in and terrorizing
No,
everybody.
you're right.
Absolutely
I-
right. No, it's horrific.
The state of California, the city of Los Angeles,
yes.
this whole idea of defunding police, it, to me, is the stupidest thing. They have $70 billion of excess cash in their till where's the capital of California?
Sacramento.
Yeah, in Sacramento, and they ought to put more police on the street, and they ought to have some kind of, you can't just create a crime and go to jail and be let out in 3 hours. I mean,
Agreed.
it's just
Well,
not
Well,
right.
that's why Jackie Avant was killed. I mean,
that's-
we have
But
people
that's why-
not
Okay.
okay.
That's why so many people have Gavin issues.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people are leaving the state. Like they say in Utah, somebody even said to me, we should credit Gavin Newsom with being the best realtor in the state of Utah.
Yeah, that's
because of
true.
him, he's brought more people. He's brought more people to the state of Utah than anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any kudos?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
My kudos are to the juries of Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos trial,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
and the Ghislaine Maxwell trial.
Yes.
Yes.
finally, we're getting some people that deserve what they get.
And the trial in Georgia.
Wait,
And the armed
Yes.
robbery, yes.
is she going to be a mistrial though?
No,
No,
they said there's
no.
no
Okay,
reason
good.
for any mistrial.
Good.
No, I
And
love
also
it.
Prince Andrew getting all of his titles stripped.
Oh, yes.
That's progress.
Yes,
That's
more
kudos,
kudos. More kudos.
Okay.
More
I
kudos.
love it.
Darling. Oh,
I have one
Risa's got one.
I have one that's less political.
Okay, Switzerland, go
Yeah.
on.
I know it's true. I have kudos because my boyfriend's daughter is having a baby on
Oh, I love
On
it.
Monday morning, she's having a baby at 8 a.m. because she has a scheduled cesarean. And the baby's name is going to be West Owen Whipple. So his initials are WOW.
Wow.
Ah, that's
Very
very
cool.
cute.
I know.
That's cute.
That's
So-
so
Honey?
cute.
Just want you to know.
It's very nice.
Well, I mean, I have a very recent kudo,
Okay.
and it's to my grandson who's 9 years old.
He's so cute.
Who we went downtown to the mission, I mean, what's it called? Where the poverty mission downtown.
LA Mission.
And we brought lots of clothes and socks and underwear. He said, you know, I'm really happy to do this. I can see lots of people have needs that I've never had to put up with, and I'm really excited to be here. And it looked like it was a life-changing moment for
Good.
him. So
Oh.
maybe
Wonderful.
maybe he's
Honey.
growing up.
That's
We're
fantastic.
Fantastic.
That's a
That
good
is-
one.
It is.
A great New Year's learning experience.
We have to probably.
Yeah.
I'm
we
ready.
probably have to say goodbye now.
All right.
Okay.
Welcome back. Happy
Don,
New Year,
thank
everybody.
you for
Thank
being
you,
with
Don.
us.
Yes, thank you,
Darling,
Don.
you are the
Happy
best
New Year.
guest
Yes.
of 2022.
Do you play
I
the
bet
music?
you say that to every guest.
No, not quite.
No.
Not of 2022 yet.
All right.
Oh,
Till
yeah,
next
I'm the
time.
best
We
guest-
love
Bye.
you.
best guest of 2022.